Hi, I'm Diane Macedo. Let's get right to our top story. President Trump says Elon Musk wants to talk to him, but that the president's not particularly interested as their very public feud is playing out. Trump told our John Carl earlier on the phone that Musk has, quote, lost his mind. This whole thing started as a fight over the president's bill, but now the president's threatening to cancel Musk's government contracts. And Musk is threatening to pull NASA's ride to the International Space Station. Let's get right to White House correspondent Karen Travers. Karen, what's the latest here?
The latest, Diane, is that things seem to have cooled off today compared to where we were yesterday, with those messages flying back and forth between Elon Musk and President Trump, and of course President Trump's comments in the Oval Office. The president today seems to be trying to change the subject, move beyond that feud with Elon Musk, talking on social media about the economy and his policies, anything but those messages yesterday. But the president talked to John Carl earlier this morning, and he did not seem particularly concerned about it. In fact, he said that he was not interested in talking to Elon Musk, even though Musk wanted to talk to him. People around the president say he seems to be more sad about all of this than angry. Diane, the president has two events on his public schedule today before he leaves the White House to head to New Jersey. So far, both of those events are closed to reporters, but we are waiting to see if they bring in the press pool, because you can imagine what some of the first questions the president will get asked.
Karen, this is more complicated than just a feud between two men. You're talking about the president of the United States, the richest man in the world, and Musk also has these billion-dollar worth government contracts, right? $20 billion worth. So what does that mean big picture? What's at stake here?
The president yesterday, at one point on Truth Social, his social media platform, threatened to cancel all of Elon Musk's contracts with the federal government. It's $20 billion across multiple companies. The president did not walk that back, and that's significant. Elon Musk threatened to pull back the Dragon spacecraft from working with NASA to take astronauts to and from the International Space Station. It's the only way that NASA can do that. He later said, though, that he wouldn't do that. He walked it back. But it's significant that how much of that business that Elon Musk and his companies have with the federal government. The Defense Department relies on them for getting satellites into space. There's internet issues that the federal government has contracts with Starlink to do rural access to internet across the country and also overseas, and also electric vehicles that Tesla has contracts with different federal agencies. So, Diane, that's a big question today for the White House and for the president about that threat to cut those contracts. What would the alternative be if the government wasn't in business with Elon Musk?
All right, Karen Travers at the White House for us. Thanks, Karen. And let's bring in ABC News executive editorial producer John Santucci for more. John, Elon Musk wasn't just considered one of Trump's closest advisors. These two were spending holidays together not long ago. So how did they go from that to here so quickly?
I mean, Uncle Elon at some point is what Don Jr.'s children would refer to him as, because he was so present, just hanging around, watching Donald Trump golf on the weekends down in Florida, Diane. I mean, think about the relationship the last few months that we saw in the White House, but let's rewind the clock a little bit. Think about the transition, right? If you think about Trump 1.0, Donald Trump, we saw everything that was happening. He was out in New Jersey showing off his cabinet. This time you didn't see anything. It was all behind closed doors, and really it was Donald Trump with Elon Musk. Elon Musk weighed in on every cabinet pick this time around. So I think that relationship really transitioned from close friend, ally, to really somebody that became a senior advisor on just about everything. And I have to tell you, last night talking to many people around the Trump White House, one of the things they said about Elon Musk that they were concerned about is how much knowledge he's obtained, not just on the government, but on Donald Trump.
So what does that mean? Because he had a lot of access to government information in addition to whatever he knows about the president himself. So what does that mean now that they've had this falling out?
Well, look, I mean, last night I can say there's very few things in life that have surprised me about Donald Trump in 10 years of covering him. When I saw the tweet about Jeffrey Epstein, my phone fell out of my hand, because to think that that's like really shots fired against the president, I mean, that's a real open threat, a real hostile thing to say. Clearly, he called it himself a big bomb. So, I mean, I think that what's going to be fascinating is, do they try to patch this up? You know, Karen just said right there that obviously over the last 12 hours, we saw Elon dial it back. We heard this reporting there'd be a phone call today, but what John Carl heard this morning from President Trump is that, nah, I'm not interested in speaking to him. So Personally, I think for everyone today, have your Twitter notifications on for Elon Musk to see what he now does in response to it. But I think that really the dynamic of what's inside the government, our colleague Will Staken, who's covered Elon Musk for quite some time, one of the things he pointed out to me, and he's right, is Doge and all those employees. They're still there. They were doing the work that was at the behest of Elon Musk. What happens to them?
Now, where do you see this heading next?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm curious to see is the response from Elon, right? So basically, this has been a game of back and forth tennis. Donald Trump threw the serve this morning saying, no, I don't want to talk to him. So what does Elon do? Does he actually wind it back and just sort of sit back? Or does he respond? Does he actually turn the heat back up? That's part one. Part two, I want to see what happens inside the government. We talked about the contracts with the companies. I want to see what happens with the Elon Musk people that are there, the Doge people, the AI czar, the crypto czar. Those are all friends and allies of Elon Musk that were brought to the Trump party by him. Do they stay? Do they get kicked out? Can't wait to see for the weekend Twitter wars.
All right, John Santucci, thank you.
Thanks, Diane.